Hi everyone, it's John from What Up. Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking the cancellation of the Wheel of Time and why it's the most out-of-touch thing that Amazon has done since they sent a bunch of rich people into space and expected regular folks like you and me to actually care when we can barely pay our own rent. Spoiler warning, no one gave a shit. So if you love the Wheel of Time as much as I do, if you're excited about the prospect of more Wheel of Time projects, and there's a ton of them in the pipe right now, and you want to hear news about that, or if you want to follow along for possible news about the show, which, folks, it is still possible, including the other things I'm going to be covering, other adaptations and book reviews and whatnot, basically fantasy type news. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course, folks, tell all your friends. So this was supposed to be a rant video, and I promised you folks a rant video. When I dropped my cancellation video last Friday, and I actually recorded it before it was officially announced, I dropped it pretty much within minutes of the actual announcement. I promised in that video I'd give you folks a rant video within 24 hours. It's been over a week. I recorded that video 15 times, and every single time I watched it back, I lost a little piece of myself. I'm not going to lie to you folks. I've always been a very positive person, a glass half full type of guy. Even when I gave constructive criticism, emphasis on constructive, of the show and the parts I didn't like, I did so in a kind and conscientious manner. I'm not prone to ranting and screaming into the void. And when I did those videos and I watched it back, it didn't seem not only on brand for the channel, but not on brand for me. It just wasn't me at all. It was cathartic as all get out. It helped a lot to get it out there, but it wasn't something that I was proud of, and I didn't want to post it on my channel. Nor would it help. I mean, let's face it, screaming at tech giants and streaming companies and telling them what you actually think of them, no one's going to care. So instead, today's video is going to focus on a couple of different things. We're going to talk about the cancellation and my thoughts on it. Yes, that is going to happen. We're going to talk about some things that are being said in the media. We'll talk about the actual numbers for Wheel of Time and what they meant and why they were not near as doom and gloom as what people are saying. We're going to talk about what I've heard about the cancellation, which I've talked about here on the channel before, and how it differs from what a lot of people are online saying. So there are a few articles out there that do actually say some of the same things that my sources have been telling me the last couple months, but people are just making up their own insert reason here. The show was canceled, and talking about that. Then we're talking about what you folks can do to help save Wheel of Time and what it can actually achieve. And then we're going to, after all of that is done, we're going to talk just a bit about the fandom and certain sections of the fandom certain sections, plural, that I'm a little disappointed in, considering I've been part of the Wheel of Time fandom since the Other World dropped 35 plus years ago now. Oh, I'm old. And then we're going to end the video with a couple of things we're going to be covering here on the channel, new projects and things like that, things that you can expect to see from me in the coming months. Wheel of Time's going to be my bread and butter. There's going to be a ton of Wheel of Time stuff. I still have show stuff to put out, a lot of it, actually. But I'm going to put out a ton of book content, too. I've been doing a reread. We'll talk about all that at the end of the video. So let's start off with, why did the Wheel of Time get canceled? Like what actually happened? Well, my sources have been telling me for months that it's financial reasons, that both Amazon and Sony were quite happy with the state of the show. They're happy with how season 3 was received. They're happy with the critical reviews. They're happy with the viewer reviews. They were happy with the direction the show's taking. They're happy with the showrunner. They're happy with the cast, the crew. They're basically happy with pretty much everything. As happy as a streaming tech giant could be. So why did it get canceled? Well, it's all money, folks. It's all about money. The Wheel of Time is an expensive show. It's a tentpole production that is hugely expensive. And back when the Wheel of Time was first incepted, or at least the show was first incepted, we're talking probably 7 years ago now, streaming services were basically kind of in their golden age. They were throwing money at absolutely everything. And Prime was no exception at that point. They wanted more original content, and Jeff Bezos was quoted as saying, "Bring me the next Game of Thrones." Anyone who knew anything about the Wheel of Time would say that it is definitely not the next Game of Thrones. In fact, Game of Thrones was inspired by the Wheel of Time. George R.R. Martin has been on record saying that a couple of different times. It is a massively different show, but they also picked up Lord of the Rings at the same time, so that was always a concern. But at the time, there was more than enough money to go around. And how it worked was iWatch Studios, well, that's what they're called now. They had a different name back then. These folks had the rights to the Wheel of Time. All things Wheel of Time other than books. So anything Wheel of Time you folks want they're basically going to get made no matter what. The fandom has their own thoughts and ideas on them. I'm not going to touch on that in today's video. I've done videos on it before. I've actually had them on the channel here before. But if you want new Wheel of Time content, it's going to be through them. So they're the ones that kind of shop this around. They wanted to make a show. They wanted movies, actually, but they wanted to make a show as well. And Sony was one of the people they talked to, and Sony was very interested. Sony was like, hey, we love this idea. We love the idea of a giant fantasy show. We love what's happening here. We want to help you make this show. So they signed a contract with Sony. Sony doesn't normally make, well, I mean, they do, but they like to source some of their stuff out. They don't have their own streaming platform, so they partnership a lot with Prime. And they have a lot over the years. And so immediately they went to Prime and said, hey, we have this big tentpole show. We want to do these things. And Jennifer Sulki, which was an executive at Amazon at the time, was like, that sounds fantastic. We've been asked to bring more fantasy shows onto Prime. We've been asked to bring more original content. Let's do this. So Sony and Amazon signed a contract. Now, when they signed that contract, the world was a very different place. Streaming services were in their heyday. So you're talking, they would throw stacks of cash at anything that they thought would make money. And by making money, it doesn't mean that they thought they would make money off it. It's just that they thought it would attract new subscribers, it would keep their current subscribers happy, and would be a success as far as viewership goes. But they would do that with anything. So like a lot of what would normally be considered risky projects in today's world were greenlighted almost immediately. Because they had the money, they had the ability, they had the money, they had all of this. At the time, they had the world was at their fingertips. It was all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. And so when they did this, they signed a multi-season contract between the two basic, huge giants, and the Wheel of Time became a thing. And they encountered problems in production for season 1, more problems in production in season 2, but the show got better. As season 1 rolled through, it got better. As season 2 rolled through, it got better. Season 3 dropped, and it was an absolute just spectacle. It was one of the best fantasy productions ever. Season 3, I don't think many people can argue with that, that season 3 wasn't an absolute masterpiece when it came to a lot of different things as far as fantasy TV goes. But today's economic climate is very much different than it was years ago. So streamers are much more cautious with their money. You wouldn't think so with some of the absolute terrible shows that they're putting out right now. You see it on all streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, Crave, Prime, Sony, with the exception of Apple. Apple's a bit different. Apple has nothing but hits right now, but we'll talk about them in a bit. Every one of them seem to put out a couple of stinkers every year, or more than a couple of stinkers every year, because they're relying on spectacle and star power rather than actual storytelling and something people will actually want to watch. But they're being much more careful with their shows. And there's this mentality within the business world and within the streaming world, especially, that things have to be an instant hit. They have to be absolutely hitting the ground running, an instant hit right away, and they have to be the best thing since sliced bread. Because, like I said earlier, they want to make money off this, but it's not really money they want to make. They want to attract new subscribers. They want to keep current subscribers. They want to be able to promote their service. That's what they do. They don't actually, it's not like way back in the day when network television made a show, or when you make a movie, you put it out to the public and you charge for it and you make money on it. It's not really like that. They own the distribution, they own the platform, they own everything. So it's just like numbers moving around in a spreadsheet kind of type thing. But they have their own metrics they look at. And those metrics have to be cost effective as well as everything else. And as far as Wheel of Time went, things went well. Like for season 3, everything did good. And I'm stressing good. It wasn't a smash out breakneck speed hit. It wasn't the best thing since sliced bread, according to their numbers and their metrics, but it did well. It was a solid, dependable show that had great value for the money they put into it. And it was one of the few fantasy shows that they produced that had that level, that kind of time, care, and money put behind it, if that makes any sense. Now, they ran into a few different problems here over the years, because they also ordered Lord of the Rings at the same time. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Because Jeff Bezos was quoted at the time, bring me the next Game of Thrones. So everyone was throwing fantasy projects at him, and Jeff Bezos is a massive Tolkien fan. I couldn't tell you if he even likes The Wheel of Time. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything to that effect. I haven't read anything to that effect, but it was just one of those things. He wanted the next Game of Thrones. Everyone wanted the next Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones did something that no other fantasy show did, and that was to bring in just ridiculously groundbreaking numbers of viewers week after week after week. Even when the show became complete garbage in its later seasons, it still did that. It still brought in record numbers. But if you know the Wheel of Time, you know that it's nothing like the Game of Thrones. In fact, Wheel of Time inspired Game of Thrones, and George R.R. Martin has gone on record to say that a couple of different times. And there are articles out there right now talking about how it was doomed from the start for a bunch of different reasons and all these other things, but folks, it all came down to money. So when Sony and Amazon first negotiated the contract, like I said, it was in the heyday, the golden age of streaming. Everybody had tons of money, and they expected things just to be absolutely sunshine and lollipops and rainbows forever. It hasn't been. Streaming has gone downhill hard in the last couple of years. Not only are they producing less and less great content, the prices have gone up. They've added ads to their platforms. They're essentially cable TV, which is what they said they would never be. They've reduced the number of episodes per season, the runtime per episode. They've become obsessed with having the next big thing, and if it doesn't happen to be the next big thing immediately, they cancel it. You see that with Netflix all of the time. They're always canceling their shows. Shows that have huge fandoms, huge followings, that are doing very well, they cancel them because they're not the big thing they're looking for. They don't want to spend the money and time and effort on something that isn't a smash hit. Prime's no exception. There's a ton of stuff in Prime that just is good. They're solid, good shows. They do good numbers, and they get canceled, like The Bondsman, rather. But thinking more along the line of some of Brandon Sanderson's work when I say Bondsmith. Sorry about that. The Bondsman with Kevin Bacon. Solid show. Good numbers. A good show. I watched it. It was a fun Monster of the Week show. Did well as far as viewership goes. They canceled that because it wasn't the break smash out hit that they wanted. So when it came down to it, and they started looking at the contracts again, the amount of money that both companies were putting into it versus what they were getting out versus what they had to pay versus compensation models, neither one of them were happy with that, and they were renegotiating that. And they've been doing that for a while, and they couldn't come to an agreement. Sony was not happy with what they were getting out of it. Amazon was not happy with it. They were getting out of it. Both thought the other would blink first. They both thought that the other one should give a little bit more and have a little bit less. They're big companies, so of course they do. And just ended up with the cancellation of the show. Now, does that mean that all hope is lost? Absolutely not. It does not. Not even close. But it does mean that basically the show is no more as of right now. So the Nielsen numbers came out for Wheel of Time, and people are using this. Some people are using this as a reason why the show got canceled. I'm going to go over so you can see me here. I got to stress something here, folks. This was cut off in early April, so this did not have the full runtime of the show. So you're not talking. Didn't have episode 8 on it, and viewership continues. Like when you have a show on a streaming platform, viewership does continue. These Nielsen numbers are more of taking a snapshot of how things look in a certain area of the world for a certain type of consumer, and how they do. It's a great way to compare it against other shows at the same time, though. And so Wheel of Time came in at number 98, tied with School Spirits on Paramount Plus, Watson on CBS, and Power Book 3 Raising Canada. I don't even know what that is on Starz. I'm not sure what that show is. I have heard of Watson and School Spirits, though. And people were like, oh, it came in number 98. It didn't do that well, only 1.9 million views. Like, it's not that great. Folks, again, this wasn't the full run of the third season. It was still picking up steam at that point because a lot of people who had not watched season 1 and season 2 or were disappointed with season 1 and season 2 were just finding the show. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the numbers are right now. Nobody really knows, but I imagine they're much more than this. But something I will note is that there were only 9 Prime Video titles on this list. And this list was out of 100, but there were probably close to 125, 130 shows on it because you had things like this where you had multiple shows tied at different levels all the way through. There were only 9 Prime shows, and this was the 9th in the number of Prime shows on this list. Prime doesn't have that many shows. Prime has almost no original shows. Like it has some, but it's not as many as a host from other people. So this was definitely not a failure. People are saying it's number 98, it's a failure. We are living in a world right now where everyone seems to be absolutely obsessed with the idea of you have to be number one, you have to be the best of the best, you have to be the absolute amazing next best thing to continue going. If that was the case, folks, we'd have like 9 shows on streaming across all platforms. I don't think that's achievable. I don't think that's feasible. I don't think it's the way things should be. Unfortunately, in the late stage capitalism era that we all live in, if you don't break records, you're a loser. And that's how it works. If you don't have record profits every single quarter forever, which is completely unsustainable, you don't have to be a PhD mathematician to figure that out. I think someone in grade 3 or 4 can understand that you can't always be better every single quarter forever. Like that's impossible. That's the mentality right now. So number 9 out of all the shows on the top 100 did respectable numbers, did really well. And people are saying it was canceled because of that. Folks, it's not why. It's because Sony and Amazon really couldn't come to an agreement, on the money. Neither one of them were happy with it, and Amazon walked away. That's pretty much what happened. There's a ton of other articles. So this article here about the Nielsen charts, I've left a link to it down below in the description box. You folks can take a look at it if you want. But there's another one here. This is from Decider, and it talks a bit about what I've already mentioned. Wheel Time was one of the many expensive projects ordered by MGM Studios head Jennifer Sulki. Sulki was ousted from Amazon. I have no idea the context surrounding her leaving Amazon at all in the last couple of months, but I can tell you this: her leaving did not directly cost the show to be canceled. That's not what this is. This is what they're implying here. Coincidence? Of course not. This is sloppy reporting at best, in my opinion. I can't say that it had nothing to do with it, but I can't say they said, you're out and we're going to cancel all your projects. That's not how things work. If things are profitable, things are doing well, if they can get things on the go, they will continue to do so. It's been done many, many times. I will say that some executives are unhappy with other executives that are doing well, and their projects tend to get more attention than theirs, and so they maneuver themselves around to take over and have their own projects be shown. That is a thing that happened. I don't know if that happened here, but the articles that are claiming that Sulki ousted meant the Wheel Time is going to be canceled, personally, in my opinion, I don't think there's any validity to this, and nothing from any of my sources that I've heard put 2 and 2 together with Sulki leaving and Wheel Time being canceled. It was unfortunate, but it wasn't the reason why, at least according to the people I talked to. So take things like this with a grain of salt. Unless they can cite like an anonymous source, which means that somebody had to have told them and they cited it, or even an actual source where they allowed themselves to be named. Take it with a grain of salt, at the very least. So yeah, the show's canceled. I'm unhappy. And I've gotten a bunch of emails from you folks, and some of them we're going to talk about in a bit, and they have to do that side of the fandom I'm a little disappointed in. But they're all saying like, "Well, are you unhappy because what are you going to do with your channel?" Oh my goodness. My channel is not... I have no worries about my channel, folks. I spent the last 5 years reporting on the Wheel of Time show because I enjoyed it. It was fun. I make YouTube videos for fun. I do not make much money doing this. This is not my job. This is a hobby that I put a lot of time and effort into because it's fun. It's a great escape, especially right now, considering some of the things that are going on in my life. It's a great way to relax and kind of unwind, and unplug is the wrong word, but that's essentially what it is from reality. And I make videos because it's fun. If I had 3 people watch my videos, I would make a video because I had a good time doing it. When I first started the channel, I got excited when I had 5 views in a video, and those 5 views were my family. I would be just as excited tomorrow if I went back to that, and I would still continue to make videos about whatever topic I so choose because it's fun for me. I enjoy it. This is not... I know it's hard for some people to believe, but this is not an avenue to just get rich. YouTube is not an avenue to get rich, folks. You have to be one of the big YouTubers to make money. I don't make much money at this. I do it for fun, realistically. And if you do something for fun, you should do it. So I'm going to continue to make videos, and we'll talk about what they're going to be at the end of the video. But if you love the Wheel of Time show, are you upset that it's canceled? Of course. Like, I'm upset it's canceled because I love the show, not because I have a YouTube channel. I'm upset because it was a good show. it, for the first time in 10 years, gave me some sort of anticipation of something new and exciting in the Wheel of Time world. I remember back as a kid when I was 9 years old and I picked up The Eye of the World and I read it for the first time, I couldn't wait for the next book. Couldn't wait for The Great Hunt. When it came out, in line right away, got it, took it home, read it immediately. I had no idea what was coming. And then as I get a little bit older, you had Theoryland, you had Dragonmount, you had Watmania. I was mostly on Watmania. I did not really dive into Theoryland or Dragonmount at all. I wish I had now, looking back. But there was theorizing, there was people talking, there was the speculation, there was all the things, and that's where I kind of found the love of those things. And when the show dropped, the story was, the destination of the story was the same. The journey was different. And I loved that the journey was different because it gave me anticipation. What are we going to see? How are they going to do this? And then there was the same things that we did when the books came out. People theorized how things would happen, what things meant, what things were. Oftentimes we were wrong. I started getting into leaks and rumors here on the channel, and I loved that part of it because it was exciting. It was new Wheel of Time stuff, and we didn't quite know exactly what it was. It was a one-for-one adaptation. Would I have loved it? Absolutely. I still would have because it's Wheel of Time. Would I have had as much fun with it as I did because it was a little bit different? I don't think so. So I'm upset the show's canceled because we're now missing that. We're losing all of that. Are there more Wheel of Time stuff coming? Yes. Like, we'll talk about that in a bit. But like, the show was super fun. The last 5 years was super fun. I'm going to miss that. That's what I'm going to miss. If that makes any sense. So what can we do as fandom about it? Well, SaveWhat.com is out there right now. I'll have to link to it down in the description box. You can go there and you can sign sort of a petition to say that you want the Wheel of Time to continue. You can send fan letters on why you love the Wheel of Time show and what it meant to you. You can send videos. You can do all these things. And they're going to gather all this together and they're going to send it to the powers that be and say, hey, we really want Wheel of Time to continue. Please continue. So right now, as we speak and as this video is made, the Wheel of Time is with Sony. So Amazon has dropped out. They're gone. Amazon is no longer a thing with Wheel of Time. As far as we know, they refuse to sign the contract, and it's with Sony. Does that mean the show is completely DOA? No, it doesn't. Another streaming service could pick it up. Amazon. Tomorrow we'll say, yeah, we'll cave to the pressure. We'll take it back. Do I think either of these things are likely? I don't really think so. I don't think another streaming service is going to pick it up. It's a tentpole show. It's incredibly expensive. It was already hosted on Prime. Sony does a lot of business with Prime. For them to take it somewhere else, I'm not saying it would cause bad blood, but like it's. I think it's unlikely someone to pick it up. Doesn't mean it won't happen. Stranger things happen. We saw it with The Expanse when Sci-Fi canceled it. Prime picked it up, and Prime sort of kind of finished it. They could have gone further, but they didn't. But they sort of kind of finished it. It's a possibility. So things like this showcase interest. They showcase the fact that people want to watch it, and that there is a fandom for this, and that there will be some sort of profit margin there for people who pick up the show if someone does. Again, do I think it's 100% likely? No, but the likelihood is zero if we don't do things like this. You should always worry. You should always fight for what you love. And if you love the Wheel of Time, go to SaveWhat.com. Sign the petition, send them a video, send them a letter saying why you love the Wheel of Time, announce it on social media, talk it around. What I don't think you should do, and a lot of people are doing this, is bash Sony, bash Amazon, and bash the streaming services, like screaming into the void. It's not going to accomplish anything. They don't care. They don't care that someone's online saying bad things about them because someone canceled the Wheel of Time. They don't care about that. This does. Getting news about this out there certainly does. MovieWeb has already reported it. Collider's reported on it. There's been a ton of actual real publications and real news personnel talking about this and writing and discussing it and streaming about this. It's not just Wheel of Time streamers like me, like the small time, small fries, small fish in a big pond. It's real reporters, real people. They are talking about this stuff now, and it's things like this that cause that to happen. And there are plans on doing a bunch of things with other things in this, and there are a ton of other things out there right now. There's one where they're collecting other signatures on petitions and they're sending emails to people. Like, none of it hurts. if you love the show, continue to do all of these things. If you don't make a lot of noise, nothing will happen. So make some noise. Like I said, is the likelihood 100% that we're going to get the show on another stream platform tomorrow? No. I don't think it's very high, but there's a chance, and because there's a chance that I'm a positive person, I fully support this. If that makes any sense. Yeah, and again, screaming into the void, calling them names, saying terrible things, and I've seen some wild things said. Folks, it doesn't really help. It may make you feel better, but it's not going to help overall. People are upset. You can voice that upset in a constructive manner, and that's the only thing that's going to work is things like this. Getting bigger people involved talking about this stuff. Maybe somebody will pick it up. There's a rumor going around the fandom right now that Apple is the best choice. I love that rumor. I've heard nothing that states that Apple would pick this up or not. I've asked because I've heard the rumor. I've seen people talk about it online. Apple shows, there's nothing but hits in Apple shows. Like right now, like Shrinking, wonderful show. Love it. Friends and Neighbors, Severance, Silo, Foundation. The list goes on. Ted Lasso. The list goes on and on and on and on about all the amazing Murderbot, like all those shows. They're amazing shows. Apple doesn't miss when it comes to shows. Some of the movies, maybe, but their shows, definitely, they don't miss. I don't know if there's any validity to that rumor. I hope there is. I hope Apple picks it up tomorrow. I really do. But our best bet is to go to SaveWatt.com or any other fan campaigns that are out there. Talk about them, share them around, tell your friends, get people who have never watched The Wheel of Time to watch it and go, hey, I really like this. I want to see more of this. Those things are going to help. Getting online and being angry and saying terrible things, they're really not going to help very much. Which brings me back to a couple of the things I want to talk about. So, show's canceled. People are understandably upset. Emotions are high. So there is a section of the fandom that really hated the show. And there are some people in that section of the fandom that made it their entire personality to hate the show and want it to be canceled. And they are gloating right now, and they are so happy. I'm pretty disappointed in that. As a Wheel of Time fan, I love the Wheel of Time. End stop. I love the book series. I'm a massive, massive book series fan. I've read the series over 100 times. I've read them till they've fallen apart. I showcased, I think, My Eye of the World in the last book, and it's a brand new copy. It's fallen apart already. I loved the old video game. I love the comic books. I love anything Wheel of Time related. I love the fan fiction. I read Wheel of Time fan fiction. Some of it's, but I love Wheel of Time. So I love the show too. And I never understood how someone who could claim that they're a Wheel of Time fan could look at something that other Wheel of Time fans love that is Wheel of Time related or Wheel of Time adjacent and go, they're not real fans. I don't like them. I don't like this. They shouldn't like this either because I don't like this. They don't think the same way I do. We're now going to fight. That to me makes no sense, folks. I know plenty of people out there who hate the show, like just loathe it. Love the books to death, but hate the show. And they were happy the show was made, and they were happy that people enjoyed it, because even though it wasn't their cup of tea, it brought more people into the Wheel of Time fandom. The Wheel of Time fandom has been, by and large, one of the most inclusive, happy, wonderful communities I've been a part of in my entire life. And it's always been that way because the Wheel of Time was written to be incredibly progressive. It was. When it was written in the 90s, it dealt with issues and themes that no other fantasy writer would really touch. No other writer would really touch at the time. It was not prevalent in society at the time. And they've become pretty normal in today's world for the most part, but back then they were pushing boundaries. So it's not unusual or strange that the people who really loved this book series, for the most part, were very, very open-minded, inclusive, wonderful, kind, nice people, because that's pretty much what the book series attracted. I'm pretty disappointed in the section of the fandom that calls themselves Wheel of Time fans, but takes great pleasure in other Wheel of Time's fans' misfortune or upset. Like, I don't know what to say about that, but I am a bit disappointed in that. There are entire YouTube channels dedicated to hating the show. There are Reddits dedicated to hating the show. There are whole groups of people out there that like I said, make it their personality to hate the show so much that they just, that's all they care about. And they hated that people didn't think the same way they did. And like I said at the first of the video, when I started these rants and I recorded them, I started to sound like them a little bit, not in the same way. I wasn't specifically calling people out. I wasn't being racist or bigoted or angry with a group of people that liked something I didn't. But I was being negative, being overtly just crazy negative about it, and that doesn't help anybody. It's not conductive to a good community. When we talk toxic fandoms, Wheel of Time is not something that comes to mind, but there are elements of our fandom that have been and will always be toxic. That's just the way it is. And there are people that have read the books that completely miss the point. And that's fine too, if they miss the point. It's okay. They can still say they're Wheel of Time fans. You don't have to understand the books and the core themes of the books. Friendship, inclusivity, family, how it wasn't just about Rand, it was about everybody. Those types of things. Strong women was a very strong concept of the books. You don't have to understand any of that. You can still be a Wheel of Time fan. I've always said that if you walk past the Wheel of Time books in Swap Pierce chapters, I guess Barnes & Nobles in the state is your guys' bookstore, and you see the covers and you go, oh, I like that. I think that's cool. That's when you become a fan. When you think the Wheel of Time is cool, regardless of how much exposure you've had to it, regardless of how much you commit to the fandom, you're a fan. That's just the way it is, folks. If you only like the show, you're a fan. If you only like the books, you're a fan. If you only enjoyed The Eye of the World, didn't like the other books, you're a fan. If you only enjoyed the old first-person shooter game that came out in 1999, you're a fan. If you only enjoyed the TCG game that came out, the comic books, the graphic novels, if you only liked New Spring, if you only liked the version of New Spring that came out in that anthology collection, which is different than the actual book, you're a fan. If you only like Brandon Sanderson's version of the Wheel of Time, you're a fan. If you only liked Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books and didn't like Brandon Sanderson's, you're a fan. You're allowed to like and not like parts of the fandom. It's when you start telling other people what they can and can't like and that they should and should not like things that it becomes a problem. I don't keep the Wheel of Time in any way, shape, or form. I've met plenty of people who've only watched the show and say they're Wheel of Time fans, and I'm like, yes, you are, 100%. I've met plenty of people who didn't like the show. They're not upset about it. They're not online yelling at the world every day about it. They just didn't like it. They're also Wheel of Time fans. So there's that. I want to get that out there, saying that I am a little disappointed in some side of the fandom that are just taking such glee in so many people's pain right now. Because there's a lot of people that really, really enjoy the show. Book readers, non-book readers, they're all Wheel of Time fans, folks. As far as I'm concerned. I don't gatekeep that part of it. There's no test to become a Wheel of Time fan. All right, so future of the channel, folks. What are we going to get into here? Well, you're going to hear some more news and rumors about the Wheel of Time. There is going to be some news in the next couple of weeks about the show. I think I'll be able to share whether or not it's going to be picked up by somebody else, whether or not it's going to move around, those sorts of things. We'll be able to talk about that in a couple of weeks. I have some information on it now, but not a whole lot. Waiting on confirmation of a bunch of things. I don't want to start any wild rumors, but there should be some sort of news in the next couple of weeks. Whether it's exciting or not exciting or positive or negative, I'm being very clear with that. It'll be news. That's all it'll be. It may not be great news. It may not be wonderful news. It may not be interesting news, but there'll be news in the next couple of weeks from what I've been told. We'll talk about that here. I still have a bunch of show stuff to put out, interviews with some of the cast members, breakdowns of a couple of the episodes I got to put out. They'll come out in the next couple of weeks. Going to do book reviews. Tor's been kind enough to start sending me books to review, so I'm going to be doing that in the next month or two. Start that sort of thing, doing a book review every so often. I'm going to do book stuff. I'm going to do character breakdowns, plot breakdowns, different places, themes, you name it. There's so much stuff to go through the books. We're going to talk about the books here on the channel a fair bit. But that's not enough. I really, really enjoy adaptations. I really enjoy visual adaptations, the news, leaks, and rumors surrounding them. So we're going to be following a couple of other adaptations here on the channel. You're going to start seeing them kick off in their own little playlists. They'll be segregated from the rest of the Wheel of Time stuff on the channel in a playlist by itself. But I'm going to start following Legend of Zelda. I am so pumped for that, and there has been some leaks and rumors and news about it lately. That apparently there is a front runner for the casting of Zelda. We'll talk about that. Voltron, live action Voltron. Oh man, so excited about that. Huge Voltron fan. We're gonna talk about that. Cosmere adaptations. Are we any closer than we were 6 years ago? No, but if any news pops up with Cosmere adaptations, we're gonna talk about that here on the channel too. yeah, there's a lot of new fantasy type stuff that's coming out that I really, really enjoy. Highlander. There's a new Highlander reboot coming. Oh, I love the Highlander series. We're going to talk about those things in their own separate playlists. Again, Wheel of Time is bread and butter of the channel. It's my favorite thing. It'll always be my favorite thing. That'll be most of the things that I'm doing. But I'm going to talk about those things and others. We'll do general fantasy news. When it comes to adaptations and shows, I don't think I'll do fantasy book news. I might, but we'll talk about that. I'm going to start doing some Cosmere stuff on the channel. Brandon Sanderson is a wonderful author. I love him to pieces. I love his books to pieces. He started with The Wheel of Time, and then after that I read Mistborn, and then I read the Stormlight Archive. He's got great books. We'll talk about those a bit here in the channel. I hope they get adapted one day or another, but Brandon's pretty tight-fisted about that. I don't think we're going to see an adaptation anytime soon, but if we do, we'll cover that. If not, we're going to cover the books. Lots of things to talk about. And again, like I said, they're all things I enjoy. And I enjoy making videos, so I'm going to keep doing that. Keep making videos, keep talking about things I enjoy. You'll see things from me a few times a week. Two, three videos a week. Most of them will be real-time videos, but you'll see the odd one peppered in here or there that is something brand new and interesting. To me, at least anyway, may not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine. You don't have to watch those videos if you don't want to. I'm not asking you to. Yeah, there's a whole lot of other things going on. We're going to do a whole video on my Patreon soon. I haven't revamped it yet. And again, don't go to my Patreon, please. Please don't go. The people that are supporting me over there are supporting me just out of the goodness of their own hearts. They're not getting anything out of it. There's been nothing new posted on my Patreon in like 2 years, but there will be. I'm going to do a reread of the Wheel of Time books and post my thoughts and opinions on it there, because I've already started, but I haven't posted anything yet. That'll be coming too. All kinds of stuff coming from What Up. Don't worry about that. So if you like those sorts of things, again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and tell all your friends. And thank you so very much for supporting me up till this point. And hopefully I'll have some news for you folks in the next couple of weeks that I should be able to share. Positive, negative, even interesting, I don't know. Couldn't tell you, but it'll be something. Thank you so much for sticking with us here to the very end. Here's to many more.